Evolution. Evolution. What is evolution? Why is monkey turn human when old? If human monkey, old monkey human, then why human not monkey return to monkey? Is evolution connected to cells? If mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, then what are they selling? All this and more in this episode of In the Gene Pool. Alright, I'm gonna start with a hot take. Evolution isn't real because the old monkey in Manila Zoo is still a monkey. Before we dive into what I'm about to discuss, we first have to establish our two protagonists, starting with our long bearded, well dressed, and monkey loving friend, Charles Darwin. Who is Charles Darwin? Why does he have an enormous beard yet a balding head? Charles Darwin, lesser known as Charles Robert Darwin, or his full name, was born in Shrewsbury, Shropshire, England. Wow, try saying that 5 times fast. Shrewsbury, Shropshire, Shrewsbury, Shropshire, Shrewsbury, Shropshire. He was an Englishman who believed in the theory of evolution by natural selection, in which became the foundation of modern evolutionary studies. A confident country gentleman,
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
Darwin at first shocked religious Victorian society by suggesting that animals and humans shared common ancestry, in which the mods took down his post because the link was missing. Get it? Because missing link? Okay. Darwin formulated his rather unusual theory in private in 1837 to 1839 after returning from a voyage around the world aboard the HMS Beagle. But it was not until 2 decades later that he finally gave it public expression in On the Origin of Species, published in 1859, a book that has deeply influenced modern Western society and crackpot conspiracy theorists watching ancient aliens at 3 in the morning.
Why Homo sapiens has survived to this day is due to an extraterrestrial interference.
Alright, Darwin and Beard established. Next, Jean-Baptiste Lamarck. Jean-Baptiste Lamarck, also known as Jean-Baptiste Pierre-Antoine de Monet, Chevalier de Lamarck, that was a long name, was born August 1, 1744, in Bazentin-le-Petit, Picardy, France. He was a French naturalist. He was a soldier, biologist, and academic, and an early proponent of the idea that biological evolution occurred and proceeded in accordance with natural laws. Darwin and Lamarck were both scientists who tried to understand evolution. Lamarck's theory of evolution was based around how organisms, for example animals and plants, change during their lifetime and then pass these changes onto their offspring. For example, Lamarck believes that the giraffe had a long neck because its neck grew longer during its lifetime as it stretched to reach leaves and high up trees, meaning that each generation of giraffe had a longer neck than previous generations. Darwin's theory, however, known as natural selection, believed that organisms possessed variation. Each individual was slightly different from one another, and these variations led to some being more likely to survive and reproduce than others. Features that made an organism more likely to survive or reproduce are therefore more likely to appear to each generation. In terms of the giraffe, Darwin's theory would state that longer-necked giraffes were more likely to survive because they could eat leaves from taller trees, and therefore more long-necked giraffes will be born, which eventually caused all giraffes to have longer necks. Longer-necked giraffes survived because they were a better fit for their environment. And it is from this idea that we get the phrase survival of the fittest. Darwin's theory unfortunately became accepted because it has more evidence that supported it. Lamarck's theory, however, suggests that all organisms become more complicated over time and therefore doesn't account for simple organisms such as single-cell organisms like sophropods and plankton, apparently. We also know that through observation that characteristics inherited during an individual's lifetime do not get passed on to their offspring. For example, if someone pierces their ear, it doesn't mean that their children will be born with pierced ears. Darwin's theory, however, became even stronger when many years after his death, the study of genetics emerged. Genetics ultimately showed that all inherited traits were passed on through genes which are unaffected by the outside world, as Lamarck would predict, and are instead naturally varied, as Darwin predicted. Though Darwin didn't know what genes are, so you could see their effect on natural selection. In the end, however, in conclusion, I support Lamarck because he looks so much better than Darwin. I mean, look at that beard, man.